by it's an IBM compatible PC. Hence, when people talk about PCs, they're talking about specifically x86 architecture, IBM compatible devices.
Now, it says in the 1990s it was.
Sorry, which I was going to go back on. In
For most popular computers. That's what it.
the US, which would be Apple and either PPC or maybe more. Well, it depends on which specific year, but Apple devices or IBM clones. In the US, things like the 16-bit alternative manufacturers, the Ataris and the Commodore Amigas, weren't that common.
Right. Well,
Unlike in Europe, which it was more commonplace for home entertainment personal devices to be what the.
Now, Commodores were around, but they weren't as common as you know what I'm saying.
Sort of alternative.
Yeah.
In the US, but it's different in Europe, and it was up until Commodore fell on the sword back in '94, and Atari sort of gave up, and the Archimedes, the BBC Archimedes range died a death. They got out. They got replaced with IBM compatible PCs.
Well, see, the thing was with Atari, though, Atari figured out that it was better to just go into the video games things, and they were always the consoles that were dying out even in the 90s too with Atari. So instead of
but no, I'm talking about the more computer industry rather than the console industry. I mean, Atari was
today,
well known for music workstations.
but they're more into the programming too. They're more into the selling the frickin' technology. You know what I mean? They don't even do consoles very much anymore. Like even
they've done any sort of hardware.
Yeah, basically, like they're more into the hardware and stuff like that. And but I know that they have been out here and there, so I know that. But at that time period, they were to the point where they knew that the computer business wasn't their deal. They went more in the direction of the consoles and eventually just the freaking hardware and stuff for video games. I know that much. Now the big three information services also included Prodigy and American Online. Now, I don't agree with that because eventually freaking CompuServe was bought out by AOL.
Yahoo. Subsidiary now.
So
it could be right. It's one or the other company. Maybe what is now AOL, Time Warner, or Yahoo.
I guess there could have been a time period where CompuServe and AOL were running side by side, but eventually AOL ended up buying them out. And the thing that sticks out to me is I brought it up to you before about WorldCom. It was devised by WorldCom, the frickin' in 1997. They acted as a broker to sell frickin' CompuServe over to frickin' AOL. And if anybody knows about WorldCom, that's MCI Inc. And that's a phone company, basically, a telecommunications company. And you know about WorldCom, don't you? MCI?
Not within a modern context.
Huh?
Not within a modern context.
Well, when MCI first came out, the way they actually grew, WorldCom, they grew largely by acquiring other telecommunications companies.
So they were an infrastructure company. But again, as far as telecommunication or telephone and cell infrastructure companies in the US, you've only got 4 major players anyway, and unless that company was swallowed off by one of the 4, then they don't exist anymore.
Now, and WorldCom, it was like that. They went around and they started buying all of these freaking companies up, and then they started organizing them together and stuff. And this is where we started moving into the realm of freaking the World Wide Web, okay, which is what you fell in love with and you think the world of, and you worship as your Lord and Savior.
If you say so.
I was wondering when you was going to say something. But just to be clear too, MCI ended up going bankruptcy.
Oh, so they weren't acquired by one of the 4 major players?
No, MCI or WorldCom was the ones who basically brokered the deal to sell frickin' CompuServe over frickin' AOL, which, okay, you need to understand, CompuServe ended up getting bought off by Radio Shack, then by H&R Block, and then the deal frickin' fell onto AOL, who bought...
The MTI Worldcom is now owned by one of the biggest players, Verizon Communications.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the big 4.
See, and this is what I'm talking about. This is consolidation. And I'll say it. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. And this is the freaking stream for me to say it. It's all a freaking scam. Freaking the internet was never freaking set up to where me and you freaking share our ideas freely, because it's just an open universe of free information that's not what it was about, dude. It was about freaking these big corporations and government freaking tracking.
You didn't have to use their...
They consolidated everything. They ended up getting it to where
services. What's stopping you? What's stopping you from creating a web server? Go another machine, create a web server out of it, and host your own content.
Do you know what comes with a web server? Do you know what comes with a web? Do you know what comes with a web server?
I built plenty of them in my time, but what do you mean?
A URL.
No, not with the web server. The pages that you...
For me to host...
use to provide.
For me to host a website, what do I need to buy?
A domain name. So, a URL. You don't even actually technically need a domain name, but for convenience sake, yeah.
What's the domain name?
It's a address.
Oh, it's an address.
The URL. Address URL synonyms.
Oh, okay, so for me to have a freaking website, then I must have a domain name. Not only do I have to have it, but
no, I said I stated specifically that you don't have to use a domain name, but it's just more commonplace these days. It just makes a lot more sense, because if somebody looking for, I don't know, Roger Hanson, then it's easier to remember rogerhanson.com than a bunch of numbers.
Yeah, hold up now, dude. Freaking, how's people going to be able to find me if I don't have this domain name because, I mean, I'm not doing what you suggested. I'm not gonna freaking get a freaking piece of paper, dude, and freaking put a flyer up at the grocery store and tell everybody to contact me and shit. You know what I mean? That's not gonna work. So, I mean, other than doing it without a freaking domain name, which is an address, I mean, how the hell are people even going to know about?
You can just use a static fixed IP address. You could call yourself 192.168.0.1, even though that's that's the range that's usually used for internal networks. But you could use something similar to that.
You know better. You know names don't mean shit. Like, they don't need to know my name.
Oh, it's much more. It's much more logical. Much more easy to find if you call yourself RogerHanson.com rather than 192.168.0.1.
Okay, Uniform Research Locator. Let me say that again, okay? They don't need to know my name. My name isn't important. All they're doing is locating freaking
an address. Yeah, I'm just using your name as an example of an address.
All they want to know is where 5-4321850 ! Comes from, where they're located, because that's the door they're going to be kicking in. You see what I mean with the freaking FBI? Because I'm a freaking hardcore parkour gangster.
Okay, and so the FBI goes to different countries and start kicking.
No, they do it right here in our country too. They don't discriminate. They when it comes to kicking doors, they really love kicking doors.
FBI is.
You haven't heard that they've been doing that here in the U.S.?
Only got US. It's only within the US. The FBI would not legally be able to do anything in.
Well, why don't you say that to freaking
in this building in the UK?
Why don't you say?
Therefore, outside of the FBI's jurisdiction.
Why don't you say that to freaking Bin Laden, that the U.S. hasn't got the freaking jurisdiction to kick in their door and put a bullet in somebody?
What's an FBI operation?
Well, I mean, it's still the U.S. It was still the U.S. government that did that.
Yeah, but you were talking specifically about the FBI.
Mm-hmm.
So,
now, before we get started here, I do want to actually, I want to take a break because when we come back, we're going to start talking about. I had to get you fired up because now we're talking about Aaron Swartz and his suicide.
And okay, it's not so important that we have to cover it again, surely.
Well, the last time we didn't get it in the video, remember? It wasn't actually freaking.
I mean, that's a very brief story. Somebody was convicted of illegally having unauthorized access to computers. He went to prison and he committed suicide. The end.
Oh, okay.
That's where it was down to.
Well, let me put on a 15-minute thing, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. We're just going to skim over it this time because, like, CompuServe is the one that I really wanted to get into because I think that it's important to talk about. And plus,